Well, I brought up here your tweet.
Yeah.
With Bukele has enjoyed 450 days in El Salvador shitcoin terrorism. The Bitcoin office has prevented more than 150 scams. All these Luna, 88, all these stuff. Decree 49 gives the Bitcoin office explicit, exclusive overriding powers. Explain what this is to people, because again, this is pretty. El Salvador is so cutting edge and groundbreaking in what they're doing, not just in making Bitcoin legal tender, but why this is so significant, this piece of legislation.
Right. Well, because we treat it like the president does when he goes after the gangbangers and the terrorists, right? He frequently will post like we've gone 300 days or 400 days without a homicide. And, the murder rate in El Salvador went from the highest in the world down to now it's right around where Luxembourg is, which is like
lower than the U.S., correct?
Yeah, lower than the U.S. It's 1.6 per 100,000. And it's heading lower. So, this is a point that is part of his mission to make El Salvador safe, to bring human rights to El Salvador. The Salvadorans are enjoying their country for the first time ever in 200 years. So this is analogous to that. So we literally count the days that we are keeping El Salvador shitcoin free. And so since the Decree 49, which was a decree that was published that created the Bitcoin office, we've gone now 400 and whatever days without any shitcoins terrorizing the local Salvadorans and exposing them to all the problems and scams of shitcoin. And I mentioned some of them, that we've been repelled. One of the ADA is Cardano. Okay, so Cardano was, unceremoniously tossed out of the country at one point because the shitcoining is effectively illegal. The way it works is that Bitcoin is money and everything else is an unregistered security. So if you're not willing to register with the commission to register whatever it is you're doing as a security, then you can't trade it, right? It can't be traded on any exchange because then it's an unregistered security. And even though even that process needs scrutiny. So the Bitcoin office is also, as it says, it's overlording or overseeing. Mm-hmm. I forget how I phrase it. The Decree 49 is essentially
you're enforcing it.
Well, we have autonomy. We're the Bitcoin office, which Stacy runs. Okay, runs the Bitcoin office. The Bitcoin office reports directly to the president. So it goes to the president. The president gets briefed on the shitcoining and what's going on in the country on a regular basis. And so, as I point out, there's a few different layers of activity and administration that are looked at. So, as I was just getting into there, even the official commission that reviews projects in terms of their viability to be perhaps considered for registration as a security. There's a lot of minutia that needs to be examined in that process to make sure nobody is kind of slipping through. So we have oversight effectively over that body as well. We have oversight over the body that's looking after the country's actual Bitcoin holdings, because the country is buying Bitcoin and owns Bitcoin and has Bitcoin in their reserve. So there's a department that handles that, but we effectively are overseeing that as well. And on behalf of the president, because the president's vision for economic freedom is one of Bitcoin maximalism here in Bitcoin country. And if anything gets through, as I was alluding to during the last show, during my outburst, it's no joke. I consider it would be similar to an act of terrorism, right? Or if somebody got murdered in El Salvador and somebody selling a shitcoin in El Salvador, to me, these two things are exactly pari passu. They are of equal danger and obviously in the case of somebody losing their life instantaneously. But in the other example, somebody who's exposed to shitcoinery, they are losing their livelihood and their soul over, let's say, 5 to 10 years. But at the end of that period, you're still with a shell of a person, a dead person. So they are equal in my view. And I don't see how anybody can argue that point, really, considering the sense of bringing in this methodology. Every economic metric across the board in El Salvador has done nothing but skyrocket and go straight the fuck up. So if you're arguing with this point, I mean, you're arguing for terrorism and for economic stagnation. So I would posit that you're a fucking moron if anybody makes that argument.
Or you're defending America is basically what it is.
Yeah,
because,
go to America.
Yeah, because this is one of the reasons I just left America is because the dollar isn't worth anything. Everything is more expensive. Everything, you name it, everything's more expensive. And then the media flat out lies to me and says, well, the economy's doing great. I go, have you gone to the grocery store? Has anyone at CNN or MSNBC or Fox or anybody in Biden's cabinet gone to the grocery store? Are any of them paying rent? So I agree that your vigilance with protecting against shitcoins is as important as making sure the gangs don't get set free again or come back. If a bunch of gangs were trying to come into this country, you would have to treat it in the exact same way because, as you've pointed out, and it is evident, it's not even your opinion. It's the evidence is speaking for itself. The data shows that Bukele making Bitcoin legal tender and locking up the criminals, those two things had to occur simultaneously. Because if you just did one without the other, you wouldn't have the miracle of what is happening here.
I agree. And it's a force multiplier.
Yes.
So you take 2, 3 very constructive, positive actions. When you put them together and they work in concert, the result is spectacular. The result is 86%, 90% of votes in the biggest landslide in history. Okay, look at that number. Where did that number come from? Where is this growth coming from? Where is all the good vibes coming from? Why are all these people moving here? Why is the tourism up 100 whatever % and growing like a weed? Why are we building all these hotels? So the proof is in the numbers. So now that the numbers are out and the numbers are published, and it's clear that, I mean, during that year of the bear market, when they had scams like Cell or Luna or any of these other scams, none of them touched El Salvador. El Salvador remained completely outside of all of these scams because they actively pursued an agenda to keep them out. We have a lot of high-level famous people who wanted to come here, but they were associated with scam coins, so we said, no, stay away, fuck you.